I love church. I love coming to church. I love coming here and just being here, serving God. That is true fulfillment. You never have to wonder if you're doing good when you're here serving at the church. For most of my young years, I kind of ignored the thought of a God. But at some point, as I got older, my teenage years, I definitely became more antagonistic and mocked believers. I mean, a lot of what drove me to just be far away from God, ridiculing Christians. I think it was just control. I wanted to believe that I was in control of every aspect of my life. Now, going back a little bit further, something to know about me, I was a really sick baby. At 1.5, I was diagnosed with cystic fibrosis. I had about the age of 3 or kindergarten to live. And I can imagine, as being a parent myself, that's pretty crushing. As time went on, that median age of death did increase. So I kept breaking through all these ceilings through my years. I don't know if it was the disease that drove me. I was very ambitious, very rebellious. You couldn't tell me nothing. If I wanted to do something, I was going to do it. You couldn't tell me I couldn't do something. I was that type. I was starting to get really sick and really just having a hard time keeping up with life. By this time, Cheryl and I have been married. We have twin girls, Scarlett and Olivia, and they 2-3 years old, and Daddy's just kind of gone all the time. He's in the hospital a lot. I had such a horrible lung infection. These fevers were breaching 105, 106 for days at a time. We get to the hospital, and as soon as I got there, things really started to tank. I recall my mom and Cheryl, they were outside of the hospital room, and I can hear them talking to the case manager. And the case manager was telling them, there's not really much else we can do right now, and if he doesn't get better, we're going to move him to hospice in a couple of days. And I remember just thinking, I guess this is it. That evening, I had what I'd call a supernatural encounter. What I remember is coming out of my body, to be quite frank, and I could see my fleshly body in the bed. I was above the bed. I could see my body. It didn't look good. And I just recall this black void that was kind of behind me. And I was going into this giant black hole. And I remember spatially where I was. I could tell you I was over the parking lot. And all of a sudden, this golden hand, the size of what I'd say my body, reaches in this hole and pulls me out and rocks me and puts me back in. Now you have to understand, by this point, I had to get a nurse to do everything for me. I hadn't eaten. I couldn't tell you the last time I had solid food. And the next morning, I wake up, I'm flat in my bed, and I wake up, and I just went, whoa! I sat straight up by myself, which that's crazy because I had to use that stupid button to every time to move, I had to use every tool available to me to get up. And I sat straight up, and I reached and I grabbed the nurse button, and I just said, "Get me 2 burritos, stat!" She's like, "Okay." And I ate 2 giant burritos. I hadn't eaten forever, and I was like, all the things I just described, it was instant, it was overnight. Literally the night before, they're like, "Yeah, we're taking him to hospice." So that was the start of me going okay, I want to see what this was. There was a time I was really starting to think, I was reading the Bible going, I actually believe all this stuff is possible and plausible. I really just lacked a faith element. I lacked that, just the commitment. And at that same time, I started having anxiety. My back is so bad. My hips hurt so bad. My sinuses hurt so bad. I mean, I was just so sick and weak, I couldn't do a whole lot. Wednesday nights was my night with the girls, getting them to bed. And I get those two beautiful babies to bed, and I start walking out, and I'm going to my office to do my routine breathing treatment. And God spoke to me, okay? I'm not gonna say it was audible, but I can tell you it wasn't me, and it came from somewhere deep. And that voice said, "Patrick, aren't you tired of suffering without hope?" And I was like, yes. So it was like, whatever, I needed to hear that. That's what I needed to hear. And I go to my office, I go on my knees, and I just said, I surrender. I don't know what I said, but I surrender, Lord. I'm yours. Now my eyes are closed, and that same light that pulled me out of that hole was the same color in that room, and I was terrified to open my eyes. I thought if I was going to open my eyes, I was going to die. And I just felt this warmth, physical warmth, literally start from my head down and melted away that physical pain. Guys, my pain was unreal, and it was gone in an instant. That was the final piece for me, was that full surrender, accepting Jesus as Lord and giving my life to Him. It's definitely a moment where I look at my life and go, there's no possible way I did any of this. There's no medical reason that I went from where I was to where I am without God. There's no possible way. When I look back at my faith journey, I feel like I've lived two lives. There's the life I live now in Christ, leading my family. And when I do think about before I knew Jesus, before I really knew who God was, that man is dead. And I don't even really recall a lot of that life. It's like I had a shift. God gave me a new heart, man.